The purpose of this training is to talk about the Essential Elements Checklist for ELA, Math, and Science. Students in grades K through 11 who participate in the extended curriculum and the MAP-A assessment will be given the Essential Elements Checklist as part of the district assessment. The Essential Elements Checklist is to be used with students who have the lowest or minimal literacy, math, and science skills. The assessment is an observational survey designed to reflect the literacy, math, and science skills the student demonstrates during the testing window. The K2 checklist is made up of 4 subsections and a required separate section on how the student communicates. There's Level A, Pre-Emerging Skills, Level B, Emerging Skills, Level C, Progressing Skills, and Level D, Beginning Concepts. The grades 3 through 11 checklist is also made up of 4 subsections based on their linkage level for dynamic learning maps. There's Initial Precursor, Distal Precursor, Proximal Precursor, and Target. Criterion scores for moving to the next level are listed at the bottom of each section of the checklist. If the student scores below the criterion score for the lowest level, the English Language Arts Skills Checklist, Elast, and/or Math Skills Checklist, MSC, will be used and entered. To administer the Essential Elements checklist, during the testing window, the teacher will engage the student in a variety of learning activities, such as, but not limited to, story time, one-to-one book reading sessions, computer literacy activities, ELSB lessons, building with story lessons, news to you, equals lessons, early numeracy, etc. The teacher will score the assessment based on his or her observations of the student across the testing window. Mid-year and post-test. Start at the highest level reached in the previous testing window. On subsequent testing, you do not have to repeat the levels at which the student met the criteria. The checklists are made up of a list of skills on which the student will be rated using 2 different scales. Here I have an example of the Essential Elements ELA checklist for grade 3. You can see at the top of the checklist there's a skill scale that will be used to rate on how well a student is able to perform those various skills, and a prompting scale that will be used to rate how much prompting a student needs in order to complete those skills. At the top of each checklist, there's also a summary of totals, so you can record final scores, and a list of the subsections if there are subsections for that checklist. Scrolling down on this one, you'll see the first level of Initial Precursor. You'll see the list of skills broken up between reading, literacy, and informational, and a writing section. You will rate the students on the various skills using the skill and prompt score, get their subtotals, and then you will get an overall total at the end. On the left are the criteria for moving up or down levels. On this one, at the Initial Precursor for English Language Arts skills, if students' skill total or prompt total are 32 points or higher, move to Distal Precursor. If a student scores below 16 on skill total or prompt total, please complete the ELASK. The ELASK is similar to the English Language Arts checklist, except there is one scale going across in this case. There are still a list of skills that the student is asked to complete, and then you will still get a total at the bottom, and there are still criteria for moving on to the next level. There's level A, level B, and so on. Looking at the math skills checklist for high school, you can see it's very similar. There's still a skill scale, a prompting scale, a spot for totals at the top, and then you'll move down into Initial Precursor. You'll see this one is not broken up into subsections. There's just a list of skills on which to rate the student in skill and prompt. There is still criteria listed in the corner, as there are for all of our checklists, for moving on to the next level or down a level. Science also has the skill scale and the prompting scale. You'll see the summary of totals at the top. However, in this case, there are only 3 levels. There's the Initial Precursor with criteria for moving on to the next level. Then there's Proximal Precursor and Target. All of these checklists can be found on SSD Life. by going to the Curriculum and Professional Development site under the SSD Schools Assessment, and then in the checklist folder, you will see subfolders for each of these checklists. If you have any questions or need help locating any of this information, you can always reach out to anybody in the curriculum department and we'll be happy to help.